So I have a small problem with my 2016 Toyota Tundra driver's side sun visor. These lights, these vanity lights, stopped working. It's a small problem to have, and the repair has turned into something pretty major. Kind of opened a can of worms. So if you plan on taking apart this sun visor for any reason, I want to let you know now that anything under this fabric is not made to come apart. It's totally glued together. No serviceable parts under this fabric. I tried to get to it, but I quit before it destroyed the whole thing. So basically, what happened was that I noticed these bulbs not working when I opened the driver's side sun visor mirror. So my first step for troubleshooting was to just make sure the bulbs were good. So what I did was, they just look like fuses, but they're actually light bulbs. So I did put them in the passenger side, and they worked on the passenger side, and then the working passenger side ones did not work on this side. So I knew it was not a bulb issue. These are bulb, the trade number for these bulbs are 6614F if anybody needs those. And what's written on the bulbs themselves, it's very hard to see. TS-14 VIC P82. So once I ruled out that the bulbs were not the issue, I figured there's some type of switch mechanism that activates the lights with this unfolding of the mirror. Thought it would have been a micro switch or something that was pressing down on something, but all that happens is there's just a piece of metal here that moves when you open the flap, and all that does is just short out these two pieces. So once I figured that out, I took a mini jumper cable, and while this was connected to the truck, it's not connected to the truck now. I just shorted those out to see if that would solve the issue, but it did not. So not a bulb issue, not a contact point issue. Something else is going on. So what I did next was I thought it was a fuse issue. So I checked all my fuses. Fuses are good. There's not a single fuse that controls just these two lights. There is a fuse that does dome lights and some other lighting things, but not a fuse. And the way I was able to confirm that as well was I unplugged this from the headliner, and I measured voltage at the headliner and the headliner plug that plugs into here, and I do have 12 volts DC. So the circuit is intact to this point. So what I started doing was just some continuity testing to figure out what's going on electrically with this circuit. I figured there's some type of loose connection somewhere. So I did figure out that the bottom part of these bulbs here are the positive, and the top side are the negative. So I'll show you how I did that. And I do have continuity. Just putting my electric meter on a diode or continuity setting where if you touch, it just beeps. So so I also know what is plus and minus. Plus I marked red because of my voltage reading from the headliner plug. So I do know what is plus and minus. That's how I know from the headliner plug. And if you wanted to know, 2016 Toyota Tundra Limited crew cab, the brown of the plug up top is positive. So the brown is positive, but down here it changes to 2 reds. So that's why I drew this out and labeled it with a red marker. But here's my continuity test of that positive side. Positive, beeps on both bottoms. So I know my positive circuit is good from the headliner through the plug and to these bottom pieces. So then my negative, from here I don't have any continuity anywhere on any points. I even opened up these 2 wires in here. There's just no continuity. So my problem is that I lost the negative connection from here to the bulb, to both bulbs. So what I tried to do next was to disassemble this to try to find the loose connection. I suspect it is somewhere and has something to do with this moving part. So I'm sure something came loose inside here. I mean, actually something did come loose in here. I think the most likely culprit is something to do with this mechanism that moves, because the wire is actually fed through this tube and has to, you know, do something in here to get to this point. So what I started to do, and I did give up because it's pretty much opened a can of worms here, where I did get some plastic pry tools in here, and a large flat screwdriver to just try to see what's going on in between this fabric. There's some videos online that says to just cut the fabric, but I didn't really want to cut it if I didn't have to. So I did pry it back, and what I found out underneath is that it is sandwiched between 2 pieces of plastic. So this whole circuit board and mechanism and fabric is just sandwiched between 2 pieces of plastic that are glued together. It is not meant to be taken apart. I was pretty determined to get it apart to figure out what's going wrong, but I'm going to end up destroying this this whole thing if I go any further. So if you could kind of see where it is glued together. You can see those white marks on the plastic. You see a broken piece down there. More broken pieces over here. It's just, plastic is just completely shattering. So the other thing that happened too is this piece that clips onto your hook that's on your headliner. This completely shattered, so I glued this back. This was in 3 different pieces. I don't think there's any way to pull this out because it wasn't here, and it does have these tabs, which you would have to press these in order to release this, but there's no way to get in there to release those tabs. So first thing that's going to break if you're trying to undo this is this. So don't do it. just, I don't even think it's worth taking this whole thing apart. But what my solution is going to be is, because I did some more continuity testing, so my negative, I don't have continuity on any negative point or any point back to this plug. But what I do have continuity from this negative point to this point, this negative point to this wire right here. So how I believe the circuit works is that the negative comes down the plug through that rod into this wire and hits this long shorting pad, whatever you want to call it first, the shorting bar first. And then when you open the mirror, the metal pieces on the back of that short across, so then your negative is going to continue this way. So if I continue my negative that way, I'll be sending negative power that way. And then once I do that, I have continuity here to the top of this bulb and continuity there, negative continuity there. Nothing to positive, but if I check my positive plug, positive is good to the bottom. So my plan is to run a new wire, negative wire from here. It's going to have to kind of be on the outside, and then I'm going to sneak it behind, maybe try to run a wire from here, sneak it behind here, and just splice it into this negative wire in here. Because I know the positive is good, that's the positive side. So if I just basically parallel another negative to whatever is not working in here, and get my negative, another negative wire to there, that should take care of the problem. It's going to be not too pretty the way it looks, but it would solve the problem. So if you guys have the same problem, I would say if you can live without the lights, go for it. That's the easiest thing to do. It's a lot of work for just two stupid lights. Don't try to take this apart. It's probably a simple fix to whatever is behind here, but just to get to it, you're going to end up destroying this thing. So I'll make another video if I do have success with my wire, and I could show you how that looks and how it works. So don't take this apart. Okay, here's my repair for the negative wire. I use this Scotch lock connector on the negative, and a piece of 18 gauge stranded wire that I taped gray, and I crimped it to the negative wire inside here. So right down here is where those two wires ended. See those two red wires? The left side is a positive and the right side is negative. So I just pulled back the negative into here and just made a splice to that. So it's not going to look too pretty because it's going to be kind of exposed on the outside of the the visor, but I'm gonna try to make it nice and neat. I'm gonna have to make sure this wire doesn't get in the way of those shorting pins. So I'll do another video to show the final install to see what it looks like. Alright, I finally glued this back together, and it doesn't look too bad. If I would not have stopped where I have, this thing would have been destroyed. So that piece I epoxied itself first, so let that dry for a couple days, and then before I clipped it back into the visor, I threw some more JB Weld epoxy in there. So that thing is not, it's not meant to come out. It did break when I took it out, so now it's just permanently in there again. Then the fix for the wire and the light, this is what I did. I tied in right there, and here's my just a little 18 gauge wire. I taped up gray just to somewhat match. So I don't think it's gonna be too bad. You're not gonna see that wire when everything is folded up. It's only gonna be, you're only gonna see it when it's down, and I have to leave some slack on it so it moves back and forth when you extend the visor. So let me put it back together in the truck and I'll take another video. All right, it's back up. It's clipped in. Looks pretty good. You can't even see that wire when it's folded up. So let's fold it down. There's the wire. Nice and clipped in, and moment of truth. Let's see if the light's going. Yeah, there you go. All right, it is fixed. Probably could have went a little shorter on that wire, but let's see. Guess we have to do that and extend. We kind of need all that slack. Could have been maybe a little bit shorter. Maybe I could just put a tie wrap there so it just kind of guides it, keeps it a little bit neater. But all right, there's the fix. Now I just have to be gentle, just using all this stuff in the future.